On one side is the army of the Savanna relying on numbers and claws. Will brute strength or sophisticated intelligence prevail? Wild Africa. Baboons versus chimpanzees, the great battle for survival between strength and intelligence. On the border of the jungle and the savanna stretches endlessly, the ground cracked under the dry sun, interspersed with steep cliffs and dry rivers in the dry season. This is the harsh land of Africa, where every step is a challenge. On the cold gray cliffs, one of the most powerful primate communities is ruling. They are not lions, nor are they leopards. They are baboons, fierce-faced, glowing-eyed, and their large herds are like a survival army. Baboons are not part of the great apes, but are old-world monkeys. However, their stature is still large and powerful. Adult males can weigh up to 30 to 40 kilograms, with a muscular body, standing out with a long snout like a hunting dog and fangs that can reach 5 centimeters, weapons that can make even leopards wary. The rough gray-brown fur, the bright, intelligent eyes, the high curved tail, all create a familiar yet strange appearance, half monkey, half wild animal. The calloused skin on the buttocks, called ischial callosities, allows them to sit for long periods on rocks or tree branches without pain. Although they are omnivores that tend to eat young grass, seeds, roots, and fruits, baboons do not hesitate to become hunters. Many records show that they join forces to capture hares, birds, lizards, and even young antelopes. The strategy is simple but terrifying: the strength of the pack. Some will corner, others will block, and the alpha male will deliver the final blow. When faced with natural predators like leopards or hyenas, baboons are no pushovers. They roar, show their teeth, and even fight back fiercely in numbers, forcing the predators to flee. During the rut, females display a bright red swelling around their rumps, a clear biological signal to males. The dominant male usually has the most opportunities, but females sometimes choose to share opportunities with multiple males, to avoid killing their young if power shifts. The gestation period lasts about 6 months. Young are born tiny, clinging to their mother's belly, then gradually moving to her back as they get older. They learn to distinguish alarm sounds, find food, and engage in pretend fighting as a school to prepare for the harsh life out there. Baboons can recognize faces of their own kind and maintain complex social relationships within their troop. Their calls range from growls, long howls, to cackling alarms. They sleep on cliffs or tall trees at night to avoid predators. The midday savanna, the sun scorching the ground. The baboons have returned to the resting area on the cliff, where they often gather to groom each other and guard their young. But that peace is just a fragile shell. The evening. The savanna is red, the late afternoon sun pouring fire on the rocky slopes. The baboons have gathered. The air is thick with tension. A young male, muscular, eyes blazing, steps forward to face the old muscular ruler with scars crisscrossing dozens of past battles. The two charge at each other. The battle lasts only a few minutes, but is as fierce as a storm. The young male, covered in wounds, retreats. The leader looks down at the group as if to declare that order is still his. Dusk falls. The baboons gradually quiet down on the cliff. The young one nestles back into its mother's arms, her caresses and grooming restoring peace. But hidden deep within is a cold lesson in the baboon world, where power is written only in blood and claws. A society that is both cruel and cohesive, both fierce and resilient, demonstrates the extraordinary adaptation of baboons to the harsh savanna. On the dry savanna, baboons have proven that collective strength and aggressive instincts can keep them alive for generations. But when they leave the savanna and go deep into the green jungle, a different society appears. There, life is no longer determined by numbers or claws, but by intelligence, strategy, and invisible alliances. This This is the territory of chimpanzees, the great apes closest to humans, where every step, every glance can be a calculation for survival. The green curtain of the jungle gradually covers the frame. The layers of tree shadows block the sunlight, the humid air, and the calls echoing from the foliage create a relentless soundtrack. This is no longer a world of fierce attacks, but a stage of strategy, intelligence, and quiet negotiations. In the forests of Central and West Africa, chimpanzees have become a symbol of evolution. They are great apes, the closest relatives of humans, sharing 99% of their genes. They have sturdy bodies, long arms that almost reach the knees, and weigh 40 to 60 kilograms, but can be 4 to 5 times stronger than an adult of the same weight. However, what makes chimpanzees superior is not just their muscles. It is their brains and their ability to learn. They know how to choose branches, strip leaves to make sticks to poke into termite nests, use rocks as hammers to crack hard nuts, or dip sticks into honey like spoons. These behaviors are not purely instinctual, but a survival culture passed down from generation to generation. Each group can have its own secrets, as different as fingerprints. Chimpanzee society is just as complex as that of humans. They live in communities of 20 to more than 100 individuals, with a fission-fusion structure, when needed to split into groups to forage for fruit, when needed to unite to fight off enemies or organize a collective hunt. In this system, the central male must rely not only on strength, but also on building political alliances. A back scratch, a shared piece of food, or even a friendly hug can all become power. Females often quietly raise their young, but they are the bridge of relationships, keeping the group stable through turmoil. The young grow up in a strict curriculum, learning to forage for food, make tools, distinguish alarm calls, and even negotiate social terms through meaningful touches. As the morning light filters through the jungle, small groups of chimpanzees gather. They hug and stroke each other's fur, a simple ritual that is the social glue that helps heal tensions and strengthen trust. In that society there are friendships, betrayals, uprisings, and even secret handshakes. But thanks to that, the chimpanzee community has survived for millions of years, becoming one of the primates that is both intelligent and closest to humans. Here in the humid shade of the jungle, life is not decided by fangs, but by strategy and intelligence. and the masters of strategy will tell us that story. Light filters through the thick foliage above. Red colobus monkeys swing from branch to branch, leaping from tree to tree. They are alert, but unaware that eyes are watching from below. In the bushes, a group of chimpanzees hide. They wait, observe, and plan. Unlike the instincts of many other predators, chimpanzees know how to wait. They have a strategy. In this deadly silence, each individual is reading the prey, calculating the distance, and waiting for the golden moment to strike. The brutal hunt breaks out. Chimpanzees share each piece of meat. The young in the group learn to observe, learn both the cruelty and the survival lessons of the species. This is not just a hunt. This is a testament to collective intelligence and cold strategy. For chimpanzees, survival is a game of chess, and they always know how to make the decisive move. So between an army of claws and master strategists, who is the master? The answer does not lie in the winning individual. True dominance is the ability to perfectly adapt to the environment. On the vast savanna, the strength of the baboon group is the law. But in the dense forests, the intelligence and strategy of chimpanzees are the keys to the throne. Each species is a master in its own kingdom. Strength and intelligence are the two dominant strategies. But there is a third strategy, one that comes from absolute isolation. To understand the extraordinary diversity of primates, we must leave the continent and head east. There, the deep blue Indian Ocean opens up before us, and across the vast ocean lies a mysterious island, Madagascar. Separated from Africa for more than 80 million years, Madagascar has become a world of its own for evolution. Here, lush green rainforests hug mountain ranges, interspersed with dry grasslands and red sand deserts. The island nation is home to a unique primate species, the lemur. In the soft yellow sunlight of Madagascar, long black and white striped tails sway from the branches like small flags in the wind. It is the lemur, a primate endemic to this island, where evolution has written a story completely different from the rest of Africa. Lemurs are small, weighing only 2 to 3.5 kilograms, with smooth silver-gray fur, a white face and bright orange-yellow eyes. The most prominent feature is the long black and white striped tail, which not only helps them balance when moving, but also serves as a signal flag for communication within the group when they move through dense forests and dry grasslands. Unlike baboons or chimpanzees, lemurs are not predators. They are omnivores, with a diet mainly consisting of leaves, fruits, flowers, bark, and even tree resin. When food is scarce, they can also catch small insects but rarely attack large prey. Thanks to their flexibility in diet, lemurs can adapt to many different environments, from lush tropical forests to semi-arid regions. An interesting difference is that lemur society is usually dominated by females. While baboons rule with claws and chimpanzees build power through complex political alliances, lemurs maintain order through matriarchy. Females decide where to go, what to eat, and how to defend their territory. In a world where lions and leopards do not exist, lemurs of Madagascar do not need claws and fangs to survive. Instead, they rely on agility, pack intelligence, and the power of matriarchy. Small but proud, lemurs are the living symbols of Madagascar, the island where evolution chose to write a very different chapter. On a hot afternoon in Madagascar, sunlight pouring down on the dry ground, lemurs weave through the undergrowth. Their bright yellow eyes dart around, their ears perk up, listening for every little sound in the wind. Suddenly they stop. On a dry branch in front of them, a cicada stands motionless. The lemurs approached, stretched like springs. The prey was in the palm of their hands. They do not hunt antelopes like baboons, or plan to hunt monkeys like chimpanzees. With just agility, sharp hearing, and flexible hands, a fat cicada is enough to snatch survival from nature. This is a testament to the species' flexible adaptability. Each species, with its own unique tactics, reflects the power of adaptation and evolution in its habitat. But living in the wild is not just about fighting and hunting. It is also about connection, lessons about society, mutual protection, and respect for nature. Survival is a never-ending journey, where only those who adapt can continue to write their own stories. Which species' survival tactics are you impressed with? Remember to leave a comment below the video. Hit the bell and subscribe so you don't miss out on more wild stories from the amazing natural world. Panama wildlife, the race for survival. Panama, Where Life Meets is not just a documentary, but a journey into the heart of one of the most biodiverse regions on the planet. In the far southeast of Panama, where the asphalt stops and human footprints thin out, lies a land where nature still retains its primitive breath. That is the Darien rainforest, one of the most pristine ecosystems left in the Americas, known as the Darien Gap, where the continent breaks between humans and the wild. Above, giant tree branches intertwine like living bridges connecting ancient trunks. Toucans with colorful beaks fly between the trees, emitting echoing calls as if calling back to the era of the old forest. Somewhere among the dense branches, a tiny hummingbird is like a living lightning bolt, hanging motionless in the air, just to take a sip of nectar from a blooming bromeliad flower. Up there is a colorful world, but also always alert. For on a mossy branch nearby, a harpy eagle, the rainforest's most notorious bird of prey, watched the slightest movement below with a razor-sharp gaze. Beneath the canopy of ancient trees, where the light was a solitary shimmer through the foliage, a river wound silently like a brown ribbon through the heart of the Darien forest. The water was so still that it seemed to be nothing but the silent flow of silt and time. But on the opposite bank, the underbrush stirred. A figure crept closer, its mottled plumage almost lost in the patchy light of the jungle. It was a jaguar, the legendary predator of the rainforest, but today it wasn't hunting deer or capybara. Today it was hunting fish. Unlike most big cats, which avoid water, the jaguar was an excellent swimmer. Its lean body, short but strong limbs, and especially its cold patience made it a haunting sight not only on land but also in water. The jaguar moved close to the river's edge, silently observing. Under Under the murky water were large catfish, lurking among the roots of submerged trees, occasionally poking their heads out to catch a falling insect. Just a moment of carelessness, and death would strike like a thunderbolt. Slow as a shadow, the jaguar lowered itself, its steps barely stirring the water. Every muscle tensed in anticipation. Then, in a single movement, it plunged straight into the water. Fast, clean, and unexpected. There was a loud splash, and the river's surface exploded as if it had been torn apart. Its forelegs, covered in claws, caught the panicked fish in the murky water. Not only is the jaguar a master of the jungle, it is also a ruler of the water. In the damp leaf litter of the Panamanian rainforest, where light never reaches the ground, there is an army without color, without drums, but each time it appears, it makes the entire ecosystem wary. In the damp leaf litter of the Panamanian rainforest, where light never reaches the ground, there is an army without color, without drums, but each time it appears, it makes the entire ecosystem. It is the army ants, tiny warrior, living in groups, never stopping. Hundreds of thousands of ants weave themselves into a living mass, clinging to roots, rocks, or rotten wood, creating a mobile fortress where the queen lays her eggs, and the larvae develop for several days before the army sets out again. Unlike most ants, which live in permanent nests, army ants of the genus Iciton live a uniquely nomadic lifestyle. They do not build permanent nests, but instead move about, creating temporary, connecting their bodies together, a process known as a bivouac. Hundreds of thousands of ants weave themselves into a living mass, clinging to roots, rocks, or rotten wood, creating a mobile fortress where the queen lays her eggs, and the larvae develop for several days before the army sets out again. The most unique thing about army ants is the way they hunt. They don't stalk, they don't act alone, they act collectively. Each hunt resembles a well-organized military assault. Tens of thousands of individuals rush forward in a fan-shaped formation, covering the ground, low shrubs, and even tree trunks for several meters. Each soldier ant, with its large, powerful jaws, leads the formation, ready to attack and quickly take down its prey. Behind them are smaller worker ants, whose job is to cut up the prey, transport it, care for the larvae, and protect the queen. Any small creature, from caterpillars, cockroaches, spiders to baby snakes, or sleeping lizards, can become a meal in the blink of an eye. They don't use their eyes to navigate, because most army ants are blind. Instead, they communicate and navigate using pheromones, highly sophisticated chemical signals that help the entire colony act as a unified, unhurried, undisturbed unit, even though it can number up to 500,000 individuals. Strangely, the presence of army ants makes the entire forest more alive. Many species of birds, such as antbirds, thrushes, and woodchucks, follow the ants as opportunists, waiting to catch panicked insects that flee the ants. This is a loosely symbiotic relationship, where the ants do not benefit directly, but inadvertently create food opportunities for the rest of the community. The life of army ants follows a two-phase cycle: a settled phase, when the colony stops, the queen lays thousands of eggs, the larvae hatch and develop, and a nomadic phase, when the eggs hatch into pupae, the colony sets out again. Each cycle lasts about 3-4 weeks, and like that they never stay still, a cityless army with only one goal: to survive and expand their next meal. Where two oceans meet, the turquoise Caribbean to the north and the rolling Pacific to the south, the Panama coastline stretches like a thin silk strip, imbued with the breath of both water worlds. Unlike the beaches bustling with people, the pristine coast of Panama is a place where nature is allowed to whisper, freely telling stories through the sound of waves, the sound of wind, and strange shapes imprinted on the sand every morning. When the sun has just appeared behind the palm trees along the shore, the first light falls on the water like a thin layer of gold paint. The Pacific Ocean is not windy at this time. The small waves whisper, rolling to the shore in eternal patience. On the Caribbean side, the water is so clear that you can see the coral reefs and schools of colorful fish gliding around, embroidering patterns of movement on the sand. On the deserted sand, the footprints of sea turtles are still clearly visible, traces of birthing at night when the full moon shines down. Olive Ridley turtles, after thousands of miles of migration, have quietly come ashore, dug nests in the dark, and dropped hundreds of eggs into the sand, a promise to future generations. The wind carries the smell of salt, the pungent smell of seaweed, and the dampness of the soil, an indescribable scent, only found in places where the sea is still wild. Offshore, a pod of bottlenose dolphins breaks the surface of the water with gentle somersaults. They hunt, play, and communicate in a unique language of sounds that echo down to the ocean floor like sparkling musical notes. Near the reef, schools of tropical fish, parrotfish, butterfly fish, clownfish, hide among the colorful coral, creating an underwater symphony of colors. And there, in the darkest crevices, strange creatures like cuttlefish, mantis shrimp, and Panamanian seahorses thrive, in silence and in the wonder of evolution. As the sun begins to rise over the Panamanian Sea, the water turns a transparent. The first ripples appear, not from the wind, but from the appearance of a pod of bottlenose dolphins. First a dorsal fin flickers, then the whole silvery gray body breaks the surface with a soft leap, spraying white foam like sea flowers. They come not quietly, not hastily, but with the confidence of the most intelligent rulers under the water. Bottlenose dolphins are mammals, part of the whale family, but they have an incredibly complex intelligence and social life. They not only hunt in groups, they also coordinate, communicate with distinctive whistles, and even call each other by unique sounds. Their intelligence is their most powerful tool, more powerful than their diving speed, muscle strength, or the sharpness of their teeth. This morning the dolphins spotted their target, a school of anchovies clustered near a coral reef. The small fish form a living underwater sphere, thousands of individuals moving together as one, trying to dazzle their enemies with chaotic movements. But for bottlenose dolphins, this is not a barrier, it is a game of strategy. A group of dolphins breaks away, circling the school of fish at increasing speed, forming a bubble net, a small but effective circle of air that causes the fish to panic and huddle together. Another individual charges up from the bottom using sonar to pinpoint the exact location of its prey, then darts straight ahead at arrow speed, opening its jaws and grabbing a group of fish before the bubble circle dissipates. A tactical feast is staged without words, just signals, sounds, and collective memory. When the bellies are full and the water calms, the group begins to play. Freestyle somersaults, whistles drift across the waves, some individuals even toss up patches of seaweed as if playing with the ocean. In that space, we see not just a mature predator, but a community, an intelligence living in the middle of the ocean. Above the water, seabirds circle, terns, gulls, egrets, swooping down like silver arrows to catch fish in the blink of an eye. And when the tide goes out, the entire sandy beach is exposed like a vast carpet, where crabs, snails, and sea worms begin to feast in the sun. In the afternoon light, the Panamanian Sea changes color from blue to silver, then gradually to a fiery red on the horizon. In the wild, where speed and strength are often the most important, bottlenose dolphins are proof that intelligence and coordination can conquer the ocean. And in the pristine waters of Panama, these silver-gray warriors still tell the story of an animal that not only survived, but lived with the delicacy, precision, and charm of an oceanic song amid the mist that covers Panama's Chiriquí Plateau, where the cloud forests are always wet and covered with lichen. A faint call rings out, clear, solitary, like a flute from the past. It is the call of the resplendent quetzal, one of Central America's most legendary birds, both a real creature and a living mythical symbol in the jungle. The resplendent quetzal, Pharamacrus mochino, is a member of the Trogonidae family and is endemic to the cloud forests of Central America. From southern Mexico to Panama. In the ancient Nahuatl language, quetzal means long and precious tail feathers. And it is not far-fetched. The adult male has a tail that extends longer than its body, shimmering turquoise and gold like liquid metal in the early morning sun. Its head and back are a lush green. Its chest is as red as a ripe berry. Its deep black eyes like dewdrops still clinging to branches at dawn. Despite its resplendent appearance, the quetzal is a reclusive bird. It dislikes noise or excitement, flying alone or in pairs amid the high canopy of the forest, where moss and orchids hang like soft curtains.
feeds mainly on wild fruit, especially the fruit of the wild avocado, Persea americana, but also catches insects, small lizards, and the occasional frog. They swallow the fruit whole and then pass the seeds, helping to spread the species, keeping the cloud forest constantly regenerating. One of the most striking biological features of the quetzal is its reproductive behavior, which relies on rotting tree trunks. They do not dig their own nests, but instead use their beaks to enlarge existing cavities, often left by woodpeckers. Males and females incubate the eggs together, taking turns guarding the nest for weeks. When raising their young, they become extremely vigilant, rarely leaving the nest for long, and will rush out to chase away intruders, despite their small size compared to most predators. However, their very special habitat. They only survive in cloud forests at altitudes between 1,200 and 3,000 meters. Makes the quetzal vulnerable to climate change and deforestation. As cloud forests are cut down, the rotten old trees in which they nest disappear. The traditional migration from the highlands to the lowlands during the cold season is also becoming unstable when the climate changes erratically.
However, every early morning in the Cherokee forest, if you are lucky, you can still catch a glimpse of a blue feather gliding through the canopy, as gentle as a leaf falling backwards. No sound, no ostentatious gesture, only the light reflecting off the wings and the long tail feathers fluttering through the air like a natural spell. For the ancient Maya, the quetzal was a symbol of freedom and the spirit of the forest, to the point that they believed that when captured, this bird would die of grief. And perhaps that is what makes the quetzal beautiful, not only because of its brilliant colors, but because it is the most vivid image of the beauty that cannot be possessed, the beauty of the wild, of the old forest, of life when it is intact.